So we're going to do a hard pivot with the content now, and I would want to talk about AI, artificial intelligence. So I first became, I would say, aware of AI to the extent I am aware of it in 2023 when GPT-4 released. That was in March of 2023, and I started using it like around April 1st, early April, and I remember just being floored by it. So, for context, I was working as an engineer at a medical device company, and as I used AI, GPT-4, when I sent it long, detailed prompts, it became very clear to me that, in my opinion, at that point in time already, AI was much smarter than most people, in my opinion, realized, and to the point where it was jarring and inspiring at the same time. And it gave me hope for the first time in a long time that was very concrete of like, oh my goodness, like this is the first concrete, tangible sign I've seen of like a lever arm that one could imagine pulling on to change the world on a much bigger scale by how good their ideas are as opposed to how much money they have. But in any event, I think that there's a lot of things that people are missing in AI. Not like AI researchers. I'm not talking about um, people working in AI and stuff like that. I'm talking about like my friends, like day to day, everyday people, family, stuff like that. And so I'm talking about just like the general public, my understanding, and as an American, I suppose. So, um, number one, I think that people don't understand the end goal. The end goal in AI is pretty clearly as laid out by these companies: artificial superintelligence, or ASI, superintelligence, basically an AI system that is vastly more intelligent than the most intelligent humans on Earth. And there are so many reasons why this is not only could happen, but is likely to happen. And in fact, I am writing a paper specifically about this. And rather than get into the details of all of it, because the paper is still in progress at this point, I will just leave it at I think most people don't realize that that is the end goal. Either they think that there isn't an end goal and it's just kind of developing um, just developing by some imaginary force, which maybe you could argue it is, or they think it'll level out at like human level or below human level. But I think basically everyone in AI is in agreement. It's not everyone, most people in AI are in agreement that it's going to be a lot smarter than humans. Uh, my second point I think people are missing is how fast progress is going. I think most people realize it's going fast, but I think it's going even faster than most people think, and that it's accelerating too. It's going faster. And if you just look at the models in 2020, and they were doing like 3-digit math, and now the models are like competing in coding competitions and math competitions. And I just think it's very crazy how much progress there has been between 2020 and 2025 in terms of how much smarter the models have gotten. If you think about what that would imply by 2030, let alone if things are accelerating, it would suggest by 2030 that would be substantially an even bigger jump than it was between 2020 and 2025. The third point I think people misunderstand with AI is how general it is. So often people ask me like, well, what do you use it for? And it gets kind of cliche to say like, well, you can use it for anything, but that is true. And if you don't get that, you don't get why AI is so transformative yet. And if you do get that, then you probably do get why AI is so transformative. And so I'm not saying it can do literally everything or anything like that, but I think that the ceiling for the limits of how high it can go far beyond most people's imaginations, both in terms of height of how high it could end up reaching and in terms of breadth for how wide of an activity space. Um, so that I think raises a lot of interesting questions. Um, I'll leave that at that. For number 4, uh, the last thing that I think people misunderstand about AI is like the greatest risk, in my opinion. Obviously, this is my opinion here. I think people think the greatest risk is that it's going to be like robots chasing after humans, and then maybe not like such a cartoonish version of that, but a version that basically epitomizes the AI turning on humans. And while I don't necessarily think that that's like off the table, I think that could happen. I think what's much more likely to happen if we just do kind of a good old fashioned Occam's razor on this is that if you just look at the game board, the thing that is most geared up to happen is an extreme concentration of power of an extremely powerful technology as we continue to concentrate wealth, resources, capabilities, access to technology, knowledge, etc. It stands to reason that as you unveil a hyper advanced technology that at the cutting edge might be, for example, closed source and not open to a broad group of people, that a strong concentration of power would form. I mean, you already to some extent see this on the global stage between nations, but broadly, I think we see it within corporate America when you look at the giant tech companies and how large of an influence they have on like human civilization relative to, I mean, like a mom and pop shop hamburger. So, hamburger shop. So, anyhow, those are my thoughts on like what I think people are missing uh, about AI, as in the general public.